And she
Right.
was like, "Why don't you like raisins?" And this is my words to her because I didn't have the words. I said, "They tickle my teeth." I don't know. That was the words that I had. To this day, nope,
Nope.
I can't do raisins. No, thank
Yeah, I don't. Strawberries for me, the
you.
seeds.
Oh, the
Yeah.
seeds. There you go. See, and that's the thing is like, here's the deal. Everybody has a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's your thing? And now we connect. And I think, I don't know why I think that's cool about you. Now I know that like you're not a strawberry person. And now you
Yeah.
know I don't like raisins, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's cool to know these things about people. And I don't know, I don't understand why people think that these things are bad things.
Right.
We're all
And that's
different.
kind of, that's kind of, and that's something that I read in one of the kind of self help things for autism that I read, a book that I read, is one of the big differences, I guess, in arguments between neurotypical and neurodivergent is, or at least autistic neurodivergent, is the really trying to get to the understanding of the argument
Mhm.
versus just trying to get the argument over.
Yeah.
And, and that's it really, for me at least, it kind of described a lot of what I go through
Hmm.
on the day to day.
Right.
And I know that, I know that's not every neurodivergent person's experience, but
But it's yours.
yeah, it's mine.
And that's
You
important.
know, all right. So I've actually had someone ask me, this was something that kind of, and I kind of told them what you, to a degree, what you said, but I had someone ask me, and this is kind of, ways to work around the communication thing and the overstimulation thing. I had someone ask me, you know, she has trouble dealing with her son when they have that communication breakdown. Like
Hmm.
he can't find the words, and like she tries to get to the communication between them, and it's just a breakdown between them.
Hmm.
She can't understand what he's trying to get out, and he gets frustrated. And is there any way you would suggest to kind of maybe
Yeah,
work
for
around
sure.
getting to that point?
So I don't know how old this person is, the child, but what I believe are two things. Number one, pictures. Pictures are, I don't know, they're worldly. I mean, you can go to France and see a picture and try to communicate with someone through a picture.
Right, right,
So use pictures. But here's the key: you don't start using the pictures when things are difficult. You
right,
start using the pictures when things are normal. So, like, start using the pictures during dinner time. Put the pictures on the fridge. Use them. And even though and people will say, well, what if I just use the pictures? Then they're not going to say the words. No, you use the pictures with the words. Hey, Dustin, how you doing? So, like, say, the kid wants milk. Okay. Then maybe you sign milk and maybe you point to the picture milk on the fridge and you say, oh, you want milk? And then say,
right.
okay, I'll get you some milk. And then when they're frustrated in the moment, you've already practiced that skill when they are not frustrated. So when are frustrated, they can go or they can point when the words are gone. Because what happens is when we get frustrated, and we know this as adults,
Yeah,
hopefully, our words and our brain disconnect. And I can tell
right,
you as a school counselor, that's our amygdala, okay? What
right,
happens is our brain flips and our amygdala takes control and we go into fight, flight, or freeze mode. So what happens is we lose our thinking brain, which is right here, our prefrontal cortex, and
yeah,
we just go right into, I want that, I'm going to fight for it.
yeah,
Or I want that and I'm mad and I'm going to run away, which is flight.
right,
Or I don't I don't know how to say what I want, so I'm just going to freeze.
right,
But if you have a picture substitute there and all you need to do is point to it and you've practiced it in real
right.
time, then that is a game changer. Then you
Okay,
can de escalate the situation. But then it makes it hard because how do you do that in real world? Well, guess what? We have cell phones now. So if you can incorporate that, I don't know, it's a game changer.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. And that's kind of, not for nothing. That's kind of one of the routes that someone we talked to sent her down. She said she used a tablet with her son, and that helped
Hmm.
a lot. Um, so one of the things that I was kind of, I think we had talked about, so what would you say are some of the strengths and differences, between maybe an autistic learning style and type of thinking, and you had mentioned high functioning, and I know you don't necessarily like to use that term, level one or whatever you want to call it, and maybe a neurotypical brain, and
Yeah,
at that, I think they kind of complement each other. How would
absolutely.
possibly something like that, be beneficial
No, I
to
agree.
society if they work together?
No, I agree. I think that I always tell my students that I work with, is I say, how boring would it be if we were all blonde haired, blue eyed, and the only flavor of ice cream was vanilla? And they're like,
Right,
oh, I want chocolate because they think about food.
right.
But honestly, oh, hold on. I'm getting a little puzzle that I have to fix so that I don't have to log off. Okay, perfect. We're good. So how boring would our lives be if we did not have differences of opinions, differences of thinking? Like, how boring would that be? Like I told you all before, I have had students that, huh, I had a student that would open up a book and read it for the first time, close it, and be able to write out the story verbatim and draw out the pictures exactly how they were in the book, in the story picture. Um, so obviously knew the book, right? But then when I would ask just a simple, quote unquote, simple, what we neurotypical human beings would say is a typical question, like, what was the point of the story? Or who was the main character of the story? They just look at you blank faced. But obviously they can tell you.
Right.
They just think differently, and this kind of goes back to what a Jolly Mon was asking: is the spectrum of how information is it a spectrum of how information is processed? Is that fair to say? I would agree with that. I mean, like I said, I'm not a doctor and I am not an expert. I've just worked with people who have autism, and I'm passionate about people who have autism. Some of my favorite people in the world. Yes, it is about processing things differently, and that is not wrong. There is nothing wrong with that.
So I know there have been, from what research I've done, there have been some studies that have shown, and I'm not a doctor either, but from what there have been some research studies that come out and shown that um there are what they've they're starting to show that there's a difference in mirror neurons
Mm-hmm.
between neurotypical and neurodivergent brains, and that's basically what processes how we perceive information, what tells us how to read information regularly, and so kind of tells our brain how to perceive the world around us. Um,
Absolutely.
and so an autistic brain kind of takes all of the information in a little bit slower. This is kind of what it's showing, a little bit slower, and calculates it a little bit slower, but it processes all of it as opposed to only taking in what it needs
Hmm.
and going straight to the point.
Yeah, and that makes total sense, and that's how a neurotypical brain has been trained to
Right,
hone in on what is important in the moment because that is a survival mechanism.
right,
Because if there is a tiger attacking you, a neurotypical brain is going to look at the tiger and say, I need to fight, flight, or freeze. Whereas a neurodivergent brain might be taking in the entire scenario, which is beautiful. and they
Right.
might be taking in every single thing of what's going on, but it is a different way of processing it. And it's not right or wrong, but that is the way that our brains have been trained because of
Right.
survival instincts. But also, when you look at like EKGs and when you look at the studies, the different neurons in the brain of people who are neurodivergent versus not neurodivergent, uh, they light up in different areas, which is
Right.
fascinating
Yeah.
because we don't use all of our brains.
Yeah.
We don't use everything,
Yeah.
which is also
It's
insane.
yeah. No, I agree with that. It's absolutely to me. It's fascinating. That, and even that, just the difference between one neurodivergent person and the next is going to be wildly different.
Hmm.
That's just going through my TBI. That's something that I've learned is one is not the same as the next. So it's
Uh,
kind of
and
wildly
I, and I,
different.
it is, and I think it's beautiful. And I just want to say what my friend Jollyman said that if given a complex algebraic equation, my grandson will give you the answer, but can't show you. I think that that's beautiful. Uh,
Yeah. So it's
I
one of
can't do
those,
either of those.
right, and it's one of those things that like there's certain things with like my brain works that way for certain things with like pattern recognition. I can tell you how I got to the solution. I just or how I can tell you how I know the answer. I just can't tell you how I got to the
Hmm.
solution. And
Yeah. I
it's
think
you recognize the patterns, you just don't know how you got there.
Jedi, I hope that you understand how beautiful that is. I really
I
do.
try to. I don't, I don't know why it happens, but I try to. Um,
Hold on one
so
second. Jollymon, how old is your grandson? Sorry, and then you can continue. He's just
yeah,
coming
you're
in the
good.
chat.
Welcome in, Jess. Thank you for having me.
I love this conversation, and I just want to thank everybody over on Jedi's side and everybody on my side that has stuck with us because I think, oh, he's 26. That's wonderful.